Hi everyone, this is Katie Kiles. Happy Halloween. For this semester's book talk, I decided to use the text Hello, Goodbye Dog. The author is Maria Gianferrari and the illustrator is Patrice Barton. And just by looking at the front cover, even the back cover of it, you can kind of tell who our main character is, which is this girl. Her name is Zara, and you can already make the assumption that she is physically handicapped and in a wheelchair. And our other main character is this really silly dog. His name is Moose. He's kind of similar to the book character Biscuit, where he kind of gets in a lot of trouble just because he's a puppy. So the Lexile level of this text is a 460, and when you compare that to the Fountas and Pinnell system, it's about an I or a J, maybe a lower level K. There are a lot of picture supports. The illustrations, I think they're beautiful. You can tell that the illustrator used watercolor, but they definitely give a lot of clues, picture clues per page. There's a lot of dialogue, which is good for some of your higher readers, especially in primary. If you start to introduce more than one character and a couple different storylines, but there's definitely a lot of picture clues throughout the text itself, and even the characters and their facial expressions show how they're feeling. So it's not, I don't want to say it's not artistic, but it is where the student doesn't have to infer too much when they are reading the pictures. Just to give you a little synopsis or a Reader's Digest version of the story, it's about this girl, Zara, and she starts to attend school, and her dog, Moose, keeps escaping her house and wants to see Zara at school. So the principal and the teacher and the students, they all start to get riled up and excited and worked up. The librarian is in there. Her mom is in there. And there's this really silly illustration, of what happens when Moose escapes and tries to meet Zara in the cafeteria, and food is flying everywhere. So when I read this story aloud to my third graders, keep in mind that they are self-contained third graders in Kenmore, Tonawanda, so they function and have the academic behaviors and social behaviors of about a first or a second grader. Immediately they were drawn to it. They know that I'm a dog lover. I know that I've mentioned my dog a couple times on these discussion posts, but I also have a lot of just animal lovers in my classroom. So immediately they were drawn just by looking at the cover. And they don't have a lot of exposure to students who have physical handicaps. In my school right now, there's not one student who is bound to a wheelchair or is an amputee or doesn't have use of a limb or a hand. They don't have a ton of exposure to it. They also don't have a ton of exposure to mixed characters like this. It looks like this student's ethnicity is mixed. I do in my classroom, I have a lot of books about African American culture, Latino culture. I have a couple ENL students in my classroom, so of course I have some texts about refugees and Asian history. We do a little unit on fairy tales and how Cinderella is different across cultures, but I really love that this story, it almost sort of normalizes this student in a wheelchair. Not once during the text does it mention that she's in a wheelchair. It's mostly about her relationship with the dog, and how she wants to make him into a therapy dog. So that is a little spoiler alert that eventually the dog becomes a therapy dog. He goes to therapy training and eventually he graduates, as you can see down there. So again, lots of picture support, as you can see. Even with the check boxes, it kind of indicates to the reader, like, yes, he's done this. And then at the very end, he becomes a therapy dog at her school and the whole class is happy. But I just really love that it normalizes students and their physical handicaps. Being a special education teacher and being early in my career, I've always been hesitant to display students of different abilities in my read alouds just because I know in my class that they have those. And I'm a little nervous of having one of my students say or think, oh, that's me. But at the same time, we need our students to relate to different kinds of characters regardless of their abilities. So I really enjoyed that. My students were also making connections about what would our principal do if a dog was running loose. My dog's name is Winston, and constantly they were like, well, Miss Kyles, what if Winston came into the classroom? And they know that I would allow any and all dogs into my classroom. But it was really great to see them making connections, not even to their life, just by their personal lives, just by their environment and the people around them. I really look forward to building my classroom library more of characters who have different abilities, whether they are physical or intellectual, and even books that don't come right out and say, yes, she has a physical handicap, just kind of one that is just a typical character. So I look forward to seeing all of your other book talks, and I hope everyone has a great night.